What's up, guys? Welcome to session 12 of Linux Bash Scripting Intermediate Level. As always, I'm your instructor, Kevin Downs. Today, we're going to be covering additional file processing commands. So last session, we briefly covered editing a file from a script, scripting with /sed, Unix and Linux utilities to manipulate files, regular expressions, grep and egrep, the stream editor sed, sorting in scripts, generating reports with awk, splitting large files, counting words, lines, and characters, transforming file contents, and extracting text streams. Today, we're going to go over examining and comparing files, reporting differences between files, comparing files of any format, displaying data in octal and hex, compressing data, and converting file formats. Guys, as another quick note and reminder, in our previous course, Intro to Bash Scripting, we cover a lot of the topics discussed in this session in depth, okay? So as such, in this session, we go over them as a quick refresher. If you need more assistance with the session topics, take our Intro to Bash Scripting course, which can be found by following this link, or register for our tutoring sessions, which can be found at the end of this PowerPoint and all PowerPoint slides in previous courses and sessions. So we're only going to go over briefly what these commands do today, okay? So if you need a more in-depth explanation, then you got two options. Check out those tutoring sessions, or go ahead and take that Intro to Bash Scripting class and come back to this course. Let's go and get started with examining and comparing files. There are several file comparison tools that you can use on Linux. Here are some of the best terminal-based and GUI diff tools you can take advantage while writing code or other text tools or text files. So the first is going to be the diff command. Second is going to be the color diff command. And third is going to be the wdiff command. xxdiff is a free, powerful file and directory comparator and merge tool that runs on Unix-like operating systems such as Linux, Solaris, HP, Unix, IRIX, DEC64. One limitation of xxdiff, though, is its lack of support for Unicode files and inline editing of diff files. We also have another command line utility called comp or compare, and the comp utility compares two files of any type and writes results to the standard output. By default, comp is silent if the files are the same. If they differ, the byte and line number at which the first difference occurred is reported. The optional arguments, skip1 and skip2, are byte offsets for the beginning of file 1 and file 2 respectively, where the comparison will begin. Now I can show you that real quick. So I got a couple files here. Let me log in real quick. Clear my screen. So I'm just going to do an ls. I'm going to pick two files at random. Let's do compare the file book. Okay, so we're going to compare these two files, book and case. So this is the syntax of the command. You do compare file 1, file 2, the two files you want to compare. I'll hit enter. And it's going to tell us, hey, the very first byte and the very first line are different. All right, no surprise there. If I cat book, here's its contents. If I cat case.sh, there's its content. So obviously the very first character in both files are different. So it's telling us byte 1, line 1 are different. We also have the od command, and the od command in Linux is used to output the contents of a file in different formats, with the octal format being the default. This command is especially useful when debugging Linux scripts for unwanted changes or characters. And on our next slide here, we have some examples of that with example outputs. So they have a file called input, and we're using the -ac, -ad, and -ax. I'm sorry, AX and AO. So AX, AD, AO. So AX is for hexadecimal format. AO is for hexadecimal format. And then we have our third format here. Another very useful command line utility is the tar command. The tar command is primarily used to bundle the required files or directories into an archive. Depending on the option used, we can also use tar command to extract or list the contents of a tar archive. The syntax for using the tar command for archiving and compressing files are as follows. So we'll use tar dash our options, the file we want to tar, and then the pattern. gzip and gunzip can also be used. So in order to compress files and save memory space, we use the gzip command. In order to uncompress the files, we use the gunzip command, and the format for using the command is gzip or gunzip and then the file. This is actually a much simpler and quicker way to compress some files. We can actually gzip files with tar command. We just use the -z flag on it. Okay, and that would actually gzip the file. But if we don't want to type out this whole format here, we can just do gzip in the file name, and that would actually gzip a file. So a little bit quicker and easier to do it this way, but you have a lot more versatility doing it with the tar command. To convert files from Windows to Linux, you can use the appropriately titled DOS to Unix command. The simplest way to convert test Windows to the Linux format would be with the DOS to Unix test.windows. But you can also use the command in stream fashion. For example, DOS to Unix >test. So in summary, guys, we talked about examining and comparing files, reporting differences between files, comparing files of any format, displaying data on octal and hex, compressing data, and converting file formats. Next session, we're going to talk about writing functions, returning value from functions, returning string output, local and global variables, defining functions, and case shell all load functions. Again, if you need a little bit extra help or if you need these topics discussed a little bit more in depth, be sure to follow these links to our weekly and monthly plans available for private tutoring sessions for system administrator management. We also have private tutoring sessions for Linux and Bash scripting. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I'm looking forward to seeing you in our next session.